Good evening, and welcome to Healers Enlightened Network. We are on number 102, and this month we are talking about business strategies. And we want to welcome Debbie. She is going to teach us about clearing spaces. So, as we begin all good things, I always ask that everybody bow their head and let's bring in the peace, the love, and the gratitude for us being here tonight. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. We have five guardian angels with us tonight. We are so blessed. I am so glad you are all here. And Debbie, we will let you begin. Tell me first, though, Debbie, how long have you been doing this type of healing?
The space clearing I've been doing several years now, but I've been an energy healer for over 30 years.
Okay.
And I'll talk a little bit more about that. I do want to take just a minute if you're ready to turn it over to me.
You betcha I am.
I do take a minute, and I want us to just sit for a minute with our eyes closed, and I want everyone to connect with whoever their individual guides are, whether it's God, source, whatever your beliefs are. And if you have spirit guides, if that's a belief of yours, just ask them to come and to release and remove every energy from you that is not yours to hang on to right now, whether it's your energy that needs to be released or somebody else's energy that needs to be released that's attached itself to you. And just take a minute and breathe into that and allow them the time and space to just remove those.
Boy, there were some heavy ones in there. Whew. Isn't that
Yeah.
amazing how many energies
Yeah.
that we don't even think about that get attached to us?
And we do forget it.
Yes.
And I was feeling all of the angst of everything going on a couple of weeks ago to the point where it had almost energetically paralyzed me.
Oh, wow.
And Cynthia, you know that if those are the thoughts we're thinking, that we need to get rid of those so that they don't come and create physical problems, right?
Yes, right.
So I have a really good friend that I call and schedule a session with when I just need to clear the crap. And one of the things she did was had her guides work with my guides to do just this, to release and remove anything that wasn't mine. And now I take time every morning and every night and sometimes in between to do this because it's gone then.
Yes.
And the change in the feeling is absolutely amazing. And I'm still learning. Like I said, I've been doing this for 30 years. I have certifications in Reiki, intuitive energy healing, design psychology, angelic healing. I'm a life and spiritual coach, and I still learn new things all the time. I'm kind of a perpetual student. I've studied all of the ologies from archaeology to zoology and everything in between. And I have a little bit of a medical background too, because I'm a licensed massage therapist. I've worked for chiropractors. I've worked with people in the medical field. I taught massage therapy school, but I'm always in learning mode. I'm always watching history and science documentaries. I have 2 or 3 books on my nightstand. And so this journey is ongoing and
Yes.
always. It's not, oh, well, yeah, I have that certification and I'm done.
Right.
It doesn't
You're
work
never,
that way.
no, you are never done. Knowledge is power, and we need to
Right.
learn every single day. I think all of
And
us here probably have 3 or 4 books that we're always going through, and I don't think I'm ever done taking classes. I'm taking 3 now, and I probably shouldn't be, but you know, it quiets our minds. Does it quiet your mind, Debbie? Does it everybody
when
else's? Does it quiet your
when
mind?
it's not completely full,
Mhm.
yeah, you know, when it's not being jam packed with everybody else's garbage. um, and you'll find that in one way or another, and Cynthia, you probably can confirm this, all of that background information, you never know when a little tiny piece of that is going to click up and be just exactly what you need
Right,
during a session.
right.
And Source will always bring that up as long as you allow that door to be open.
Amen.
And so let me share my screen with you.
Okie
Can
doke.
you enable
Oh,
that?
you betcha. Let me get down here. Share screen. Whoops, wrong button. There we go. Oops, and let me knock mine off of here. Okay, can you do yours now?
Let me see.
Make sure I push the right button.
Yep.
Beautiful. You've got this down,
Yeah.
girl. All right, you betcha. Thank you. Oh,
Let
that's
me-
beautiful.
Oh, I played the other day because I didn't want to be embarrassed.
Oh, no, you would never be embarrassed with us. We do not judge. It is not for us to judge. It's beautiful. That is
So,
beautiful.
so tonight, oh yeah, design work is one of my things too. But anyway,
Oh,
my
hey.
website and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I do all of that. Yeah, like I said, I learn new stuff all the time. So tonight we're talking about space clearing to create a personal sanctuary. Um, our homes are supposed to be a place where we can feel safe and recharge. But for many, their homes or apartments feel more like a trap than a place of shelter and safety. Places to avoid, you know, they don't want to go home. They want to be gone all the time. I don't know if any of you know somebody like that. I know quite a few people like that. And tonight we're going to talk a little bit about the energy of a space, how it gets there, and how to clear it to bring in peace, abundance, and well-being.
Beautiful.
I've got a lot in the PowerPoint, and so I'm going to move kind of quick through this because this is just an introduction. And if it's something that you're interested in, I think you'll find that there is a lot more that you can explore and learn and, you know, really dig deep into the how-tos and the whys.
Okay.
I want to make sure we've got time for the Q&A at the end, and I'm sending Cynthia the PowerPoint now that I've got it all tweaked. And so when she posts that to the replay, you'll be able to get the PowerPoint, and you can download that along with, you know, my pages and pages of notes. If you don't have a PowerPoint viewer, you can upload it to Google Drive and use Google Slides to view a PowerPoint.
Oh, well, let me write that down because I'm not good with computers. So you upload it to Google Drive?
You can put it, yes, upload it to Google Drive, and then you use Google Slides. Google Slides is almost the same thing as PowerPoint.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
And Cynthia also sent an email with my checklist in it. Did everybody get a chance to look at that?
It was amazing, actually. You did a lot of work.
That's it's taken me a long time. You know, this has not been something that I did in, you know, a weekend, you know, of,
Right.
oh, I want to put this together. This has been ongoing, and it continues to be ongoing.
I thought it was beautiful. It's very well put together.
The checklist is one of the perks for members and people that are on this call tonight. So I would really appreciate it if you keep that just for personal reference.
Sure, absolutely.
Let me see how to, there we go, that's what I need. Have you ever been someplace that made you feel absolutely wonderful? a place where you felt better than you had in a really long time, or a place where you were so comfortable that you didn't want to leave. Like maybe you're on vacation at that really nice, resort up here, huh?
Hey.
This is what your personal space should feel like. Not only for you every day, but for people that you invite into your space. It should be a sanctuary for body, mind, and spirit. To the contrary, maybe you remember some place you've been that was really uncomfortable. It may have felt chillingly cold even in the summer. Maybe the hair on the back of your neck stood up, or your skin prickled, you got goosebumps. You may have even felt ill. You didn't want to be there, and all you wanted was out as fast as possible. And sometimes crowds, for those of us that are really sensitive to energy, a crowded place can do that even if it doesn't seem logical, okay?
Right, right.
Whether you realized it or not, you were sensing the energy of the space and or the people around you. Spaces absorb the energy of the people in them or those who have been in them, and also the energy of the things within that space.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever walked into a room where you could tell there had just been this huge argument or brouhaha, even though the conversation had since changed?
Oh, yes.
Or maybe everybody was laughing at a great joke and you arrived and you can still feel the cheerfulness. It's because emotions carry an energetic charge or vibration, and then this vibration permeates everything and everyone around it. And it has to do with everything being water, the water content. Even our furniture has a little bit of a water content or it would be dust. And so it's the water portion that allows for the absorption of those energies and holds them there. And the work of Raymond Grace, and also I forgot to put the book link up here, The Hidden Messages in Water, talk about how water can take on the vibrations of feelings, love, joy, hate, whatever they are. The energy in a space can impact everything from your mood to your relationships, your clarity of thought, your motivation, and so much more.
Yes.
And this one? No, wrong way.
That's beautiful.
The good news is we are not helpless to the whims of these energies. We are meant to be custodians of our spaces, whether it's in our home, our workplace, your yard or garden, even our cars. We can help a space feel welcoming and harmonious so that it works for us rather than against us. The space can be like this candle in the window on a dark, rainy night. It's inviting you to come in and sit a spell and get away from it all. All spaces have the capacity to hold energy, just like the empty spaces in these clay pots can be filled with all manner of things. Your home will fill with energy and create the mood of the space. And like the energy around people, it can be either a good mood, beneficial, or a bad mood, non-beneficial. Disharmony or non-beneficial energy tends to drain us and is not energetically supportive of our well-being. Beneficial energies, on the other hand, help to create harmony and balance and support our immune systems because they reduce stress. let's take a minute to look at where this empty space comes from. All physical matter is made up of atoms of various sizes.
Mhm.
If we could magnify the simplest hydrogen atom so that the nucleus, the proton, were the size of a basketball, this one lone electron out here would be 2 miles away. All of the space in between is empty space. Even with our densely packed atoms like those that are in our body and the furniture in our house, much of the space is empty.
Okay.
This empty space then resonates with a vibrational frequency from thoughts, emotions, feelings that emanate from us. And then it's magnified or intensified as other thoughts, feelings, and emotions are released and added to it, and it becomes a snowball kind of thing.
Mhm.
And much like the continual ringing of a bell creates a resonance that lingers even when we can't hear it, it can be scientifically measured for quite a while. And when we align, and then we align with the frequency of these energies, whether they benefit us or not. Does anybody not know Gilligan's Island? Or does everybody remember Gilligan's Island?
We should all know Gilligan's Island.
So when I was trying to think of a good analogy, again, the stuff that's buried in the back of your head, right?
Right.
This one came to mind, and when I started looking for pictures, I'm like, oh, well, that's the same cave, isn't it? Cave is used for lots of different scenes.
Yes.
Sometimes it's a safe place during a storm. Sometimes it was where hieroglyphics, ancient hieroglyphics were found to talk about the inhabitants from way back when. Sometimes they stored food in it. And then there's the episode where, you know, the captain kind of goes cuckoo and he's locking everybody up because he thinks they're all the Japanese.
Yes.
So it's always the same cave, and yet we perceived its purpose for each episode based upon the intention of the set designers. The phrase intention is everything is especially true with energy.
Mhm.
No space is inherently good or bad,
Right.
but rather it carries the energy of what has happened within that space. Just like people need to release non-beneficial energy that they've picked up, spaces need to have this non-beneficial energy released as well. This grassland area here is beautiful and appears serene. And yet our perception of the energies changes when we find out it's part of the Little Bighorn battlefield in Montana. Chances are we'd find some lingering energies here of those who fought and died. When we clear a space, we intentionally create the vibration we want to have there rather than allowing it to resonate of its own accord. And you might notice, and if you haven't, I want to draw your attention to, I use the phrases beneficial and non-beneficial rather than negative or positive, good or bad. The same energy may be beneficial to some and not for others, just like foods. Most of us would probably think of mold as something bad, and yet people love blue cheese. And penicillin was originally derived from mold, has saved countless lives. The energy is neither good nor bad, but how it affects us can be beneficial or non-beneficial. So how do we determine if energy is beneficial or not beneficial? We ask it. As it relates, in this case, as it relates to the space we're dealing with and the people or animals that inhabit it. Whether we use a pendulum, L-rods, a bobber, body testing. All of these dowsing mechanisms are ways to receive answers to our questions and concerns. And we can dig in and get all kinds of information if we really need to. I subscribe to the less is more concept with regard to energy clearing and balancing, as it simplifies the process rather than making it more complicated. The more we talk about something or work to ferret out the details, the more energy we give to it, and that feeds it and increases or amplifies the power. Many people have found that talk therapy is often initially helpful, but dredging up the details keeps the vibrational frequency active and humming along. And the more we tell a story, the more it lives and affects our well-being. It's our ego mind that wants the details. Our subconscious is fully connected to the energy matrix and already holds all the information. We don't need to know the details of anything in order to hold an intention to bring balance. I almost always ask what can be cleared to bring balance rather than what can be cleared to address fill in the blank. When we focus our energies on the problem, like I said, we feed it, and we don't want to do that. All of life is about balance. And when we ask what can be done to facilitate balance, the answers are often very different than when we ask what can be done to fix a problem. A water filter removes impurities from the water and fixes the problem, like in Flint, water filters, right? But eliminating the source of the pollution restores balance, and we don't need a fix. The same is true of our spaces. Balance is the key to working with energy and shifting from chaos to harmony. Because when balance is lost, conflict and chaos manifest. And this in turn manifests as illness and disease in the body. Many places within nature transform her in harmonious energies. Waterfalls and the earth herself, for instance, release negative ions in large quantities and can quickly transmute the effects of a nasty argument or even depression. This is one of the reasons nature walks and gardening often contribute to improvement of overall health and emotional well-being. So how do we know when a space is disruptive or needs clearing? Just like spring cleaning, a space should be thoroughly cleaned at least once a year. And I believe that the ancient art of spring cleaning wasn't just to clean the physical aspects, but also to clear the stagnant energy from the home. It released all of that energy that was built up on the walls and in the furniture from the home being closed up all during the cold winter months. This then raised the vibrational frequency as we moved into spring, which is a time of new growth and expansion. Because we don't want dead, stagnant energy going into the growing season, right? And we all are in a growing season. Sometimes it just slows down, right?
Right.
Aside from a good yearly cleaning, if one is moving into a new home, it's a good idea to clear it. If a home has been lived in, it can potentially hold the energies of anyone who lived there or visited. The energy of others can become stuck in the home and it has no way to get out. It can't talk to itself like we can to clear space, right?
Right.
Many realtors have stories about houses where someone always seems to be sick, or that divorce house where everybody that moves in there ends up broke up or getting a divorce. And how many businesses do you know that have locations or business locations that have a history of bankruptcy or not being able to have enough customers, and it's like a revolving door, you know, every 2 or 3 months a new business is going in there. We have about 5 of those, you know, within 40 minutes of my house. Clearing old energies can relieve you and the space of the distress of other people's lives. But even a brand new home can hold energies from the people who built it or created the materials used in its construction. And greed and cost cutting usually are an issue here. When my family moved into our house, it took me a long time, longer than I would have liked, to clear feelings of abandonment and lack. I purchased the house at the end of a foreclosure, and the previous owners had simply walked away as they had overextended themselves through several rounds of refinancing. I met the former owner, and I knew they cared about the property, and they even took care of the yard for the 2 years that it was in that foreclosure process. But the spirit of the house felt abandoned and like she had failed to take care of them. I've had many a long talk with Rosie, the spirit caretaker of our house, in the 10 years that we've lived here. And at one point a few years ago, it was very important that we make the house pretty with new paint inside, rather than just knowing that she physically took care of us. One morning as I was sitting for coffee, you know, I don't hear voices, but I have thoughts. There are different kinds of clairs, and we can, if somebody is unfamiliar with those, we can go over those at the end. I sometimes just know, claircognizant. And she introduced herself to me, and she's like, "Hey, I'm Rosie. I take care of this place. You just don't see me." I'm like, "Oh, okay, Rosie." She's like, "You know, I could be pretty if you'd let me." And I'm like, "Okay."
All righty then.
Okay. And she says, "I know you love me. I know that I am your perfect house." And that's a whole nother long story.
Wow.
But she said, "I can be more than that." And our house was so many different colors, and there were 3 different stripes in the big living room and dining area, and funky colors, and lots of holes in the walls from anchors. The people used an anchor for everything. And she said, "Fix my walls." And so I patched well over 100 holes, and
oh my.
We have all of the inside painted now, finally. And Rosie breathes deep and just kind of takes it all in. And she's like, "Oh, but now you need to start on the outside." And so one of the things that I do is get in touch with the spirit of a house. And we'll talk about that a little bit too. Energy clearing after declutter provides a helpful reset of the energetic spaces in our home or office. And clutter is one of the biggest signs of negative energy within a house. Clutter not only absorbs non-beneficial energies, it also distorts the flow. For those that are familiar with heart walls, it's kind of like that. It completely distorts the natural flow of energy throughout a space. And it adds and compounds the non-beneficial effects of the energy within the space. Sometimes clutter is only in 1 or 2 areas of a house, but it still is being disrupted because it's not allowing for a normal flow. Come on, there we go. By the same token, it's a good idea to clear your space after a robbery or home invasion, because we really don't want that kind of vibe sitting with us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Our house was broke into, and I didn't even think about doing that.
Yeah. Because you feel,
Many feelings, woo.
Yeah, yeah, and that mirrors theirs too.
Okay,
During times of transition, we want to clear space.
okay,
Sometimes your house has witnessed turmoil, such as a divorce or breakup. Maybe you had a really bad fight with one of the kids or something, or maybe somebody died. Following these kind of events, it's a good time to clear the space. And it's always a good idea to release all of those other energies because you want your space to be your energy. And this is especially important after a partner, companion, or roommate moves out, because a lot of times there's contention with relationships when people move out, maybe even physical altercations. And there are those in the energy healing world that even advise that you replace your bed if your partner has left, or at the very least, air out your mattress to release and remove any of their lingering energy that might still be there. Space clearing might also be needed if you suspect the presence of unwanted guests, ghosts, or other malevolent energies. Um, and sometimes you don't know they're there, but things just don't feel right. You can't tell why, but it feels funny, feels off. Maybe you move the furniture around. Maybe you rearrange the pictures. Maybe you've redecorated and it still just doesn't feel right. But please remember that ghostly energies aren't necessarily evil.
right.
They can, though, be disruptive for homeowners for other reasons. Maybe the former owner doesn't like having that chair put where his bed used to be. Or maybe the kitchen was expanded or moved or remodeled, and a former resident is confused because, they spent all their time in the kitchen and now they don't know what's up. It may also be that someone who lived in the house was abusive, suicidal, an addict, that kind of thing. And these intense emotions can have a non-beneficial impact on current residents. And I have a personal story about
You okay?
yeah, I've had this for 2 years, Cynthia. I think I talked to you about it.
Excuse me a minute, I've got to put this on. Struggling a little bit.
Oh, several years ago, my ex-husband stayed with us for a little while. Yeah, I know it's weird, but that's the way we are. He was unemployed and homeless because he used to work on farms, and the house came with the job, and so when he lost the job, he didn't have any place to go. And so I'm like, yeah, sure, you can stay here. We have space. So he was here several months. He was an alcoholic, which is why we were no longer together. And although he hadn't had a drink for what I understood was a couple of years, he still had that energy about him. And he was there several months, and I really didn't think a whole lot about it. When he left and I took over that room for my office, I spent almost all of my time in there. That was kind of my hangout room. We have a multi-generational house. I have 2 adult kids and a granddaughter. And so that was kind of my space. That was my personal space. That was where I watched TV. That was my office. That was my everything. And I happened to house sit for my dad about 2 years after my ex left. And it dawned on me after I had been at my dad's for almost a week that I hadn't wanted anything to drink. And yet every night for as long as I could go back and remember, when I'd been at home, I wanted to drink. I wanted a glass of wine. And it wasn't that I was getting drunk. It wasn't that I was drinking a lot, but I wanted that drink every night. And I actually was reading a book that I link later, and something similar came up, and I'm like, oh my God! And so I spent a lot of time and cleared some crap, let me tell you. And I think when I got back home, I think it was almost 4 months before I even wanted to drink of any kind. I would go out to dinner with friends, didn't have a drink, didn't want it, didn't need it. That's how much it can impact you without you even knowing it's done.
Wow. That shines such a huge light when you said that.
Yeah.
People just don't think.
Me too.
Yeah, it's just they don't think when they move into another home that there can be beneficial or non-beneficial energies within that home from other people. Even when you buy furniture, other beds,
Yes.
or anything from anybody
Yeah.
else, it can have those non-beneficial energies that can be brought into your home, and there can propose a problem.
And we use, we love to, we thrift. My house, we thrift. Thrift stores are some of our favorite places, even my 9-year-old granddaughter. And we set intentions before we ever go thrifting.
Oh.
That anything and everything be released before it even gets in the car. And we only thrift 1 or 2 stores at a time because there is so much accumulated energy within the stuff in the stores that yeah, my brain gets kind of wacky after 2 stores. So we only, and my daughter and my granddaughter are the same way. They're like, can we go home now? So if you or another family member are always tired or have insomnia, you don't sleep good, you have bad dreams, clearing space can help with this, because those feelings of exhaustion and stress and anxiety are intensified by non-beneficial energies. And other concerns that you might notice, maybe people are always bitching and moaning and complaining, or they're playing playing the blame game, or they're overly critical and negative, or everything is always going wrong. A friend of my sister's, they moved into a house and life just kind of went downhill. They both lost their jobs, their bank accounts ended up empty, because they lost their job. But they had more trouble when they moved into that house than they ever had anywhere before. And they'd been together for, oh my God, 40 or 50 years. And she tried real hard to get them to, let me clear the space. And they didn't believe that. So I don't know whatever happened there.
Wow.
Geopathic stress is a distortion of the Earth's natural energy field, and it causes energy radiation to seep into and affect the structure. And this might be underground streams and geological faults. And it also can impact a space. Indigenous people had a powerful, almost visceral connection to the land and its hidden energies. And migratory birds and animals also sense these hidden energies. Indigenous peoples could walk a path based on the energy that they felt. And they felt it because they were more fully connected to the earth. They didn't have rubber and man-made materials insulating their foot against the earth, so they could feel it in a way that we can no longer feel it. And modern day humans have all but lost this connection. And much of the distortion of the Earth's energy field is created by us. Railroad lines, highways, mining, tunnels, deforestation, any place the Earth has been punctured. And also in today's world of technological advance, thank you, Zoom, EMFs from mobile and cordless phones, Wi-Fi, baby monitors, microwave ovens, these are also all causes of geopathic stress.
Yeah, may I stop you right there for a second?
Sure.
With EMF, we clear it through our homes all the time. We use little devices they tell us to plug into the walls, and still we're getting the geopathic stress. So how would you go in to clear it to make it stay gone, or it will not stay gone?
I ask,
Remember
see,
for
I invoke my guides all the time because I don't have the power to do this. I don't know what goes on in the energy world,
Right.
but I can sure set an intention, okay? And so I ask my guides to do it for me because
Oh,
they
okay.
can do it, I
Mark, now-
can't. And I just, you know,
After the-
if
yes, I need
that's
to
a
get
problem. So geopathic stress doesn't directly cause illness, but it weakens the immune system, which then weakens the body.
Oh,
And the
okay.
is more susceptible to illnesses such as cancer. The
Okay.
problem arises when people spend a long time working or sleeping in these zones of geopathic stress. When we sleep over a stress zone, our adrenal glands work overtime to compensate for the distorted energies. And our brain can't relax and allow us to get into that deep sleep state, which is where repair and regeneration of the body occur. The body is made to be self-regenerating,
Right.
but because of all the stress we live under, it can't do that anymore. And that's a whole nother thing too.
Okay. Thank you.
That's a whole nother thing. Yeah, stress reduction and guided meditations and things like that to reduce your stress level are absolutely critical in today's world because we live in fight or flight all the time because of the constant bathing of our internal organs in adrenaline. And that is going to come back to bite us in the arse.
Yes. Yes. Most definitely.
When we spend a lot of time over these stress zones, it can contribute to a wide variety of symptoms like those that are listed here. And the energy from the stress zones radiates out and is stronger at points where they intersect.
Oh, wow.
In some countries, land is checked for geopathic stress before the issuing of a construction permit. There is considerable research from Europe, and I believe it's Germany, but I'm not going to swear to that, that goes back for decades into the 30s, I believe, to indicate geopathic stress is almost always involved in instances of cancer. So healing of land and houses is essential for our health and well-being.
Wow.
Yeah. We can determine where geopathic stress is through map dowsing, but we don't have to have this information in order to clear a house.
Okay.
It's possible to neutralize its effects and create a healthier environment simply with intention. There are people who think who subscribe to countering geopathic stress with by putting in rods and staples and things like that at specific points. But if you can do it with intention, again, that's one of those things that it's like, oh, I'm going to do it the easy way.
Right.
And I worked a house for a friend in Ireland a couple of years ago, and she sent me the floor plan, but she didn't really tell me a whole lot about what was going on. We were friends, and I'm just like, hey, Linda, I want to do this thing. Can you send me the floor plan of your house and then tell me what you noticed? Because I wanted some feedback.
Mhm.
A lot of times my clients don't give me any feedback. They're like, oh yeah, feels great. Okay, can you tell me what for? Or they don't say anything, but 6 months later they're calling me again. Hey, can you do that thing again? Oh, yeah, sure. So Linda, I did Linda's house for her, and I sent her the fully mapped floor plan, and I'll show you one of those in a little bit. And she said, how did you know I had a water problem right outside my front door? I didn't, honey. You didn't tell me you had a water problem outside your front door. She's like, well, what'd you do about it? It's not there anymore. I said,
Oh, wow.
I asked it to move to the edge of your property where it wouldn't bother you. If there was, and I knew there was one. Now I just say, if there is one, move it. I said, why? What's going on? She said, it's over at the edge of the road past my fence. And so, again, I don't do this. I set an intention for it to be done, and I ask all of those invisible helpers up there to take care of it for me. And when you are sincere, magic happens. And
Oh,
that's all I
amen.
can say about that.
Amen. Amen. Yes.
Areas of geopathic stress can also be identified by non-producing fruit trees. Maybe there's an orchard and there's 2 or 3 in this group that don't have any fruit on them. Or gaps in hedgerows, or twisted trees, brown patches in the yard maybe. There are also statistically more accidents on a stretch of highway that has geopathic stress than on others. Mechanical and electrical breakdowns occur more in a geopathic stress zone. Most mammals will avoid areas of geopathic stress like plague. And you can watch how animals behave in a space to sometimes pinpoint a problem. And centuries ago, before they would build a structure, they would put a herd, a flock, whatever it's called, of sheep on a piece of property. And if they refused to sleep someplace, they didn't build there.
Oh,
They
that's
built-
amazing.
They built where they did lay down, where they did feel good. And this is true except for maybe birds. I can't remember for sure because I haven't read a lot about birds, but cats. And the theory is cats will lay in a place of geopathic stress to specifically absorb the energy so that their owners don't. And
Oh,
that's
wow.
theory. I don't know about that,
Wow.
but people that I know who have cats, when I've mapped their houses, they're like, oh, well, yeah, the cat sleeps there all the time. And it's a place where there's a lot of crap going
Wow.
on. Because other than cats, animals confined over geopathic stress, whether it's a barn or a kennel or a small pasture, may become sick or more prone to injury.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is simply amazing.
But the thing is, we shouldn't have to plan an escape or a vacation to get away from it all.
Right.
Our home should be that escape, that safe harbor, that refuge from the storms of life. And it may be that the first step is a good old-fashioned clearing out. Look at what you have
Beautiful.
and only keep the things you love or feel good about. And this is something that I learned in design psychology when I received my certification in that. Doing this helps you analyze your space and allows you to create a sacred space that leads to not only happiness, but peace and a greater sense of well-being. And whether you have just moved in and are unpacking or already live there, take the time to take a look at each object.
That you're
Hold
making.
it, look at it, focus on it. Ask yourself if you can live without it. If the answer is yes, maybe it needs to go in one of those 3 bins, the trash, sell, or donate bin, and then move on to the next thing. We become tied to material things and they become saturated with our energy, and it soaks up more and more as the days go by. So if you don't need it, get rid of it so that it stops leaching your energy. And most people find that once they start to downsize their possessions, they actually feel lighter. It's
Now, would
also
you-
a really good time to get rid of those inherited items or gifts that you really don't like,
That's what I was going to ask.
or that came from people that you're not fond of. You know that thing you inherited from your favorite aunt that's stuffed in the closet or out in the
Yeah.
garage, or that ugly Christmas sweater, right?
Yes.
Donate it.
I just packed it away in a box and
Otherwise,
put it away.
no, don't just put it away because otherwise you sense ugly every time you look at it or think about
Yes,
it. Every time
yes.
you put that
It-
sweater in the closet or walk by that box that thing is stored in. And who wants to think ugly all day?
You don't, and I didn't even think about it. I just shoved it in there and walked away. Thank you. I'll
And
get
by
rid of
the
it.
same token, if we couldn't tolerate the person that gave us something, if you really didn't like that aunt at all, you don't want her stuff in your house either because then you have more of that I don't like that aunt energy and you don't want that either. And it might not be an aunt, it might be somebody else. I'm just using that. When we love the things in our space, the space feels peaceful and gives us that soft place to land at the end of the day. And it becomes a place of rest and relaxation. It energizes you, it rejuvenates you, and that's what all of our homes should be doing for us.
Thank you. That's beautiful.
So when I start clearing a space,
Hmm.
I start with a detailed questionnaire that I've developed over the past few years so that I know why somebody wants to clear a space. I want to know what they're feeling. I don't have to. This on my part is probably one of those kind of nosy things. Um, but sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of background.
Right.
Simply having the address and the names of the people and animals within the space is more than enough. It can be helpful to have a floor plan, just a basic one like I have here in this picture, but it's also not essential. I grew up in the home of a contractor and I love looking at floor plans. I used to keep a stack of floor plan books before they were on the internet by the side of my bed because I liked to see how the space flowed and where the energy was and if there was dead space. Because if there's dead space, this house here doesn't really have any. But you know how sometimes you'll walk up the steps and it just is a dead end and then you kind of come off and
Hmm.
those dead spaces is where energy lingers because people aren't moving through the space. It just kind of sits there. So during a house healing, I first spend time to get in touch with the spirit of the house, the guardian, because I want them to work with me, him, her. I want them to work with me. I don't want to alienate them. You don't want them pissed off. And then I start dousing some basic questions,
Hmm.
like those that are listed here. Is the house badly affected by geopathic stress? And then I go through my checklist. We check basically for the presence of detrimental energetic phenomena, underground streams, energy spirals, leftover energy from former owners, energy residue from arguments, trapped emotions, negative earth energies, curses, that kind of thing. And I'd like to make a note here. I don't force or demand spirits to leave. That's not my place. I'm a guest in space that they have inhabited for a long time. I ask the spirit medics to come in and take them to whatever astral plane they need to go to where they can be tended. Much like if I would come upon the scene of an accident, I would tell the rescue squad. I have emergency medical training, little bits from my background from being a massage therapist, but it's out of my realm to do much more than maybe put pressure on something to stop bleeding. If somebody has life-threatening energies, they are best handled by me calling somebody else to come in. And I believe this is true of spirits or ghosts who are still within a space due to trauma of some kind. The spirit medics are totally equipped to handle that situation And there is absolutely no reason for me to enter that battleground for any reason. And it's not listed on my checklist, but one of the things that I do is clear outdated contracts for the house. Maybe the house was built with the intention that you would never ever move again. And now life has changed and you want to move, but you can't get the house sold. Or maybe the land was a family farm and now it's a subdivision. There's a big disparity there. And I also changed the astral marks and issue keys only to the current owners. Much like when you stay at a motel, the electronic keys are the keys are rekeyed so that only you have them, because you don't want anybody who has been there before just freely wander in, right? So the current owners can share these keys with whoever they want to.
Debbie, may I stop you there for a second? Martha would like to know, I know this answer, but I'm going to let you answer. What is a spirit medic, and do you think of it as a guide or as an angel?
I don't. Spirit medic is just kind of a label, like paramedic. It's spirit. And I set an intention to only work with with beneficial spirits.
Beneficial, right.
And so I look at a spirit medic, they're a medic of the spirit world. They medically minister to the spirit world. And I don't care what they are, as long as they do what they're supposed to do. I don't really care where the EMT got his certifications. I just want him to come in and take care of the site, okay?
Right.
And that's kind of the way I feel about spirit medics. I don't need to know anything about them. I just trust that they come in and they take care of it, and it has always worked so far. Did that help?
Okay. I always call on St. Michael, St. Raphael, things like that. I call on angels and guardian angels and seraphim when I go in and do house clearings when it's got real bad boogeyman, if you want to call them boogeyman.
Yeah, it depends on what your background is.
Right.
And
right.
I don't know what somebody's belief is, and so that's kind of why I adopted the spirit medic thing, because I don't know I don't ask what somebody's religious beliefs are,
Right.
and I want them to not feel like I've done something, if they're pagan, I really don't want them thinking that, oh my God, she brought God in here. So,
right.
That kind of thing.
Right.
Getting back to the keys, the current owners can share those keys, that astral key with whoever they want. But I also set an intention that when they leave the premises or are no longer part of the owner's life, that energetic key is gone. So they can't energetically invade the space anymore, because they will.
Okay. That makes sense. Thank you.
Once a full clearing session has been completed, you'll likely notice that you feel more at home, more relaxed, more comfortable. You can take a deep breath, your shoulders kind of drop, you can and you begin to recognize the benefit of being in alignment with your environment. And again, intention is what matters. I hold the intention for the space to feel clean and fresh, like being able to open the windows on a spring morning after the house has been closed up all winter, and just letting that breeze come through. And even here in Florida, we opened the windows today for the first time, and I don't know how long, because it's been hotter than 80s here. When it's 90 or 100 degrees every day, you don't open the doors and windows, because you just don't. And
well,
so,
you can come visit us. We're at 45 today, so you can come visit us.
So 45 is not bad, but
no, that's pretty good.
And it needs to air out in here. Even air conditioning. That's cool, but it needs to air out in here.
Amen. Yes.
Okay, so this is a fully mapped floor plan, and I almost never do this anymore. because people typically realize that they don't need this kind of information, okay? They just want their space cleared and freshened, and they really don't care about all this. Although once in a while somebody will. A clearing and report with this kind of detail and all of the specific details that go along with it, because a full report from my checklist that everybody got, I go over how each item impacts the residents, you know, how many lines are there, where are they, and it takes me 10 to 15 hours to do one of those.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Going through my checklist and clearing, just going through the list, okay, is this there, is this there? That takes me 2 or 3 hours.
Mhm.
So also big difference in cost factor here too.
Mhm.
Most people don't want to spend the amount of money that it takes to do, you know, a full clearing with a map and everything. And you'll see on here a lot of, this actually is my sister's house. And you see a lot of intersecting areas. And the areas where the spirals are, there's one in the lower left-hand corner and then one up kind of by the middle of the back of the house. Those are places that I know her cats lay all the time because I've been at my sister's a lot. Those are the one down in the bottom left-hand corner is the middle of her bathroom. And she's like, Debbie, I'm always tripping over the damn cats. What the hell is going on here? I'm like, well, you know, there's an energy spiral there, Kathy. And I know that they sleep on a lounge thing on the patio on the back where that one on the back is. And so yeah. My process, as you can imagine, is a mashup of the things I've learned in the past 30 or 40 years, and it is a work in progress. I add to it, I change it up. Whenever I learn something new or think about something different to do, I do a lot of Court of Atonement with my clearings now. And also the work of Raymond Grace and other dowsers has greatly influenced the methods that I use now. There is no one single right way when working with energy. And it's really important to explore the work and ideas of many people and then pick and choose what works for you and resonates with you. And if this is something that interests you, if house healing is something that interests you, I strongly recommend digging in, doing some research, some reading, so that you understand the process and the energies that you're working with. Start someplace that you're comfortable with. Where's your comfort zone? And then expand. My house healings now are very different from the ones I started with. And one of the intentions that I set is for everyone who has worked with me in the past to benefit from the new things I've learned. I asked my guides to go back and incorporate all of the new things into those old sessions.
Oh,
I've even
beautiful.
received emails from clients from several years ago after I've learned something new, and like the astral locks and the contracts thing, I've only been doing that for about a year. And they'll say something like, I know you've been doing something new. What's up, girl? So intention is everything, and we can impact. And this is one of the things that I learned when I studied Reiki ages and ages and ages ago. We can impact the past,
Yes.
the present, and the future with our intention. And we should always hold the intention for the highest and best good,
Yes.
rather than a specific outcome, because we don't know what is someone else's highest and best good, but God does, the spirit does, their spirit does, their connection to the matrix does. And so I don't, if somebody has cancer, for instance, and they're working with me, I don't set an intention to clear the cancer. I set an intention to clear whatever is within their highest and best good to bring them into balance in this particular moment. Because I don't know what their highest and best is. And if the only intention I have is for their highest and best, I can't get it wrong.
Bless you. That was beautiful. Thank you. It might make me cry, but it did.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know where I didn't intend for that to tear you
Oh,
up.
that's all
Sorry.
right. I think it's probably just what's in there. Mm.
So the books on this slide and the next slide are some that have been really helpful to me, and they are filled
Okay.
with so much information and how to. I have barely scratched the surface tonight, and I know I have fed you probably more than you can comprehend. So,
Oh, it's amazing.
do download the PowerPoint and go back and please read. Heal Your Home is a plain English comprehensive guide so that you can clear the detrimental shit that's around your house. Okay. Healing Houses, the reason I like this book is because current models of physics are used to explain why the patterns of previous inhabitants affect current residents. So it takes energy clearing out of woo-woo and brings it scientific, okay? Because there is science to back this stuff. Tim Walter and Faye Semple have wonderful YouTube channels and regularly post new content and are a wealth of information. The House Whisperer is very real life stories about the relationship we have with the unseen world in our living spaces and how this can either support or hinder us. The DIY space clearing kit is currently out of print. Sometimes you can find it on Amazon, eBay, used bookstores. There's a lot of really great information in this as well. What are we at for time, Cynthia?
We are at 8:10. Is everybody okay? Let me know if you're not. Let me flip through here. Is everybody okay? Is everybody okay? Go ahead then, sweetie.
No, and I'm done with that part. There are a couple, when you download the PowerPoint, there are a couple of videos at the end. I was going to put them up in the inside, and I know it was going to take too long. This one shows an example of how things that start off unsynchronized become synchronized. And so it shows how it's an example of how we become aligned with the energy, even if we don't really intend to be, because we all know a metronome doesn't have any thoughts or feelings and can't set an intention. Okay. And then there's a portion in this video clip of a woman in, I believe it's China, who goes to a holistic facility and simply with intention, they clear a lump, I believe it's on her lung, and they show it with a freeze frame and then an active frame in a period of less than 3 minutes that it's gone. So
are you serious?
Oh yeah, I'm serious.
Oh, and this is wow.
Yeah. It really, when I saw that, I'm like, I don't need any details about anything. I just need to hold an intention for balance and, you know, for things to work the way they're supposed to. Okay. So anyway, that's that.
Oh, that was great.
Thank you very
That
much.
was
I appreciate
absolutely awesome.
And I'm here for questions as long as you all want to ask and have time. I don't have anything else going on tonight.
Does anybody have any questions? You can all unmute yourselves.
Let me look at the chat here.
I have a hard time seeing the chat unless it's right in front of me.
Right.
I have a hard time seeing.
Faith, if you can get in touch with Cynthia, Cynthia can get the checklist to you.
Yes, I think I have it. I rechecked. I just didn't
Okay.
look very good.
That's
Thank
all
you.
right. We're new at putting this stuff out, hun. So
Yeah.
give us just a bit. We're it's all a learning process, and thanks
Oh,
to
yeah.
Paola and Kayla, we are getting it down.
Yep.
I
went
wanted
through.
you all to have the checklist to go over it in case you had some specific questions
And
based on that checklist, because I knew I wouldn't have time to go over
Yes,
it.
I do. I was just so I was so excited when I got this. I thought, my Lord, my Lord. Your energy miasms, when you put down a miasm is a cloud or a wave of energy that could be called a spiritual energy, pollution, or poisoning. So these miasms, as we were taught by someone else, we just go into the background of that, but that's not how you do that. How do you do your miasms? Sorry.
I will, you know what, Cynthia, I'll tell you what, I just say, you know what, clear this shit.
Okay, clear it. Because
I am very, let me see if I can pull up, I can't even think of the words right now because I kind of do it on autopilot. Let me see if I can open up one of my files and
then you also had them vaccinations, immunizations, anesthesia, and heavy metals. So with
I just say be gone.
Okay, so with intention, we can pull out all the anesthesia and all the heavy metals from that anesthesia that is now causing problems.
See, I don't focus that way.
Okay.
I ask to pull out anything that is not beneficial.
That's
I
not
ask to release, remove, clear, release, remove, transmute the energy,
okay.
Transmute it into something that is beneficial. I watched somebody talking about transmuting energy. I think it was probably Raymond Gray. And he had a friend contact him who asked him to do something about his alfalfa field. He was like a dairy farmer who had a huge alfalfa field that had accidentally been oversprayed by a crop duster with Roundup, and asked Raymond if there was anything he could do about it. And so Raymond set an intention, and I don't know how long it took, but he set an intention for all of the chemical compounds to be transmuted into fertilizer. And he didn't hear anything from the guy for a while, and he thought, oh, well, maybe it didn't work. And the guy called him 6 or 8 months later, I think it was, and said, we had the best crop we've ever had. And he said, but what I didn't tell you was that it was all freaking dead before I called you.
Oh, my Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
And I just say, I ask that. My intention is to work with all of the site guardians, all of, the angels, archangels, whatever the belief is, all of the guides, all that, and I simply say, I ask that blank.
Okay.
So, for instance, please search for neutralize and dissolve or remove all psychic energy cords, psychic attacks, and saboteurs.
Okay.
I don't have any way of knowing what they all are, and for me to try and ferret all of that out would take me hours.
Yeah, I go in and figure it out, and I probably shouldn't. I should just transmute it. Now, when you put on here on number 39, you put plant, forced spirits, and guardians. We live in a huge forest, and at times, it's like the forest is, I can see auras, I can see colors, and sometimes these black spirits come out of the forest and try to come into the house. I don't allow them to come into the house. I have a bubble over the house, but I can hear them And I literally have to go out and tell them, you need to leave. This house is covered by guards.
Right.
You cannot come in. But it
Right.
happens often. So I think I need to actually go into the land, go back and research the land here and see what actually happened on this mountain.
You can, or you can just ask that it be cleared and neutralized and not get involved in it. Because do
Okay.
you really want to take on the energy
Of
or
those,
accept the energy?
not really, but I have many times.
Whenever we're digging into all of that, we stir it up within our energy field also.
Okay.
And so I don't need all of that in
Yeah,
my
I don't need that right now. Nope, 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 nope. My body needs to turn around here. And one thing I was noticing on here, you had energizing, healing frequencies. I thought that was really awesome, but I didn't know what your UTREMIFASOLAI or SI meant.
Hang on. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti.
That's what I thought. Ah, I was right.
Yeah,
Okay,
do,
I
re,
should
mi,
have just.
fa, sol, la, ti.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And you can find, if you search YouTube, you can specifically find music that has, you can find specific frequencies in music. If you search for the frequency, you can usually find it. And there have been a lot of times when I've been looking through things, when I still had clients here at the house, and I'd be looking through something and it'd say whatever the frequency was. And I'd be like, oh yeah, that'd be a good one for them. So there's a lot of that kind of thing.
Okay, okay. And there's nothing, somebody told me a while back that if you listen, so I'm going to ask you this, if you listen to different frequencies, they can feed us stuff that we really don't need.
They probably can, but I choose not to live in fear of music.
Right.
And
Me neither.
I trust that I am listening. I guess I go about things a little different than most people do. I trust the universe to keep me out of the poop.
Yes.
Sometimes,
Yes.
sometimes I step in it.
That's
but-
all right. We all do at times.
But I trust that I am not getting taken into some place that I'm not supposed to be. And if I am, they'll get me out.
Yes.
You know,
They
and
will.
it's not to say that I do stupid stuff or purposely listen to, you know, music that is not so good for us. But I just trust the universe to have my back.
Yes.
You know, and I feel like I have established enough of a relationship with, you know, my guides that if I'm going someplace I'm not supposed to, you know, the tire will be flat on the car. What more can I say?
Right. And it does happen.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
set
it
that
does.
intention every time we leave the house. If this is not where we're supposed to be, then stop us now. And many
Yeah,
times we have
absolutely.
turned around and come right back in the house and we don't go.
Yeah, and
We
we
see-
can hold that intention for every portion of our life.
Okay.
You know, it doesn't just, and so if my intention on a daily basis is to only be where I'm supposed to be when I'm supposed to be there, I don't really need to worry about much else.
That is beautiful. That is just, I wonder what I did with my other page. Oh, I set it up here. Yes, I am a blonde today. Yes. I am a blonde today. You just can't see the gray. There's blonde in there. Now, the site guardians, I was really interested in those. Every site already has a guardian of its own.
Likely, yes, unless they have abandoned the place for Lord only knows what reason. They may have gotten really torqued, you know, and sometimes developers come in and absolutely just trash a place, you know, and the site guardians, the spirits of the place, whatever, they're like, I'm getting out of here. I don't want to be here.
Right. So can we call them, can we call the right ones back in? Like if this was going to be cleared and a home was going to be erected, can we call them back in?
You can always invite them in. I have never, Could there not be one? Yes, they could have vacated, but I have never not found one.
Okay.
Sometimes they are really not happy. And so, then, if the people are doing the best that they can, and most people, if they're having a house clearing done, really want to do the best that they can. Okay.
Right.
They want their space to feel good. They want it to be happy. And so if one of the site guardians is really torqued and really creating a disturbance, they need to know about that and what kind of things have you done in your house lately that might have pissed them off. And if they haven't done anything, are they willing to try and do whatever they can to make it better? If they
Okay.
haven't been taking care of the backyard, maybe they need to step up their game and take care of the backyard, that kind of thing.
Okay.
The guardians really, they don't want us to do what we can't do because we can only do what we can do, and
Right.
somebody who is absolutely flat broke can't have their yard professionally landscaped. Okay. And so you can only do what you can do. And if you're willing to make an attempt, that's really all Spirit wants of us ever, is to make an attempt.
Well, I have something odd to throw at you here. I have a home that I've worked on a couple times overseas. And this young lady, several people were murdered at this home, and they were buried in the garden and in the garden shed. This young lady started learning Reiki and got attuned, and all of a sudden, wet handprints came up everywhere, wherever she
They
was.
were there before, she just didn't know it.
Right, right. So I went in and removed all of that, and it's all gone, and it's all beautiful, and it's positive. But I didn't realize that I could actually ask if the site guardian, so I will go back and make sure the site guardian is actually watching this home.
And you can also ask that the spirit medics come in and take any and every spirit
Okay,
to an astral place for whatever treatments they might need.
okay,
Especially with that kind of trauma.
okay,
Just asking them to come in and take them away. And so there's not a reason for them to be there, but because of the way things happened, they don't know how to transition.
right.
And so the spirit medics will take them someplace where they can feel safe and help them transition. Again,
Beautiful.
that's not my job. My job is not to transition a spirit. My job is to find somebody who can.
Can.
And so that's what I do.
Okay. I guess I just like doing that. We got involved, or our grandchildren got involved with something like a Ouija board first, and then they started calling in darknesses, and we had to have a lady come in, and it took us almost 5 years to get all this transmuted out of our grandchildren. It was the most heaviest stuff, and that's how I started learning about clearing homes and doing this, and actually jumping feet first in with these darknesses. Right. I mean, the other day we were downstairs right before we left to go for surgery. I kept turning around, out of the side of my face, I kept seeing this spirit. And I'm going, okay. And Dave goes, why are you walking backwards? And I said, do you see it? And he goes, I don't see anything. It was this big, very tall man with a very gruff looking face. Not sure what he wanted, but I just told him, you're not welcome here. You need to go to God and just be at peace and love the Lord, and just go. And he left, and he was happy to leave. It was just, I wanted to know why he was there, but I guess I didn't need to know why he was there. I didn't know if he was warning me of what we were going to do was not being beneficial for me, or not sure, but I just want to make sure I did the right thing. Because I do with this, I do clear homes quite frequently. That is
one of the things that I do, rather than just say you're not welcome here, I say, if you are not here for my benefit.
Oh, that's good.
Or the
not here for my benefit.
If you are not here to benefit the occupants, it's time for you to leave now, and the spirit medics will escort you.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Because they may be there for a benefit, and even though he looked gruff and imposing, he might have been there for a reason.
Okay.
You know, we don't know, you know, he could have been the bouncer at the bar kind of thing. You know, they're gruff and imposing, but they're there for a reason.
Yes.
Petra, to answer the question that you asked, or yes, you're still here, about walking us through, it takes me 2 or 3 hours to completely go through, but the example I gave, please search for, neutralize, and dissolve.
Mhm.
Or please search for, neutralize, and remove.
Mhm.
And when I go through the checklist, if I have doubts that something is there, and I use a pendulum sometimes I just know. It's like, oh yeah, this one, nope, not this one. Oh, this one, that one's really heavy. I
Mhm.
sense. And the clairs are clairvoyant, claircognizant, clairaudience.
Right.
Um,
There's like 6
and
of them.
there's 5 of them. Clairsentient, feel.
I'd have to get up my
One
book.
that smells. And so I just kind of know. I know that I know that I know.
Right.
And so when I get to, let's say, for instance, let me pull up my checklist. Let's say there were torn and fractured souls.
Hmm.
For that one, I asked that all of the torn and fractured pieces be reunited. And so you can kind of look at what's going on with that particular item and have an idea about the wording. Past life vows and oaths. I would simply ask that they be neutralized and dissolved and released, and that everyone be released from those past life vows and oaths. The wording is almost the same for every single item.
Right.
Search for, neutralize, remove. Transform, transmute.
Mute. Yeah. Transmute them.
If you know what those words mean, then those are, you know, use words that you're familiar with. If you don't like transmute or transform, don't use them. This
Right.
is your shit, not mine.
Use your own. Right. Whatever feels good to you, utilize. Right. And I have have you ever read this book?
Right.
Have you read this book?
I have not read that one. I have read some of her other things, but
This
I have
is a
not
really
read
good one about clairvoyance and the different forms of
yes.
clairvoyance.
Yes.
She's got so many good
She
things out there.
She explains in a lot of her things, but her things are getting harder to find because she asked that all of her things be taken off shelves if they were still needed.
Yes,
So,
I was wondering about that, why that occurred. We were having trouble finding one of hers.
because she now thinks that all of that is evil and of the devil, and
Oh,
that's,
Lord have, okay, we'll just not.
yeah, she doesn't believe in it at all anymore.
Oh, Lord have mercy. I'm so sorry. Well, thank you, Debbie. You have
Does anybody
gone
else have
above and
anything?
beyond. This is just amazing.
I'm happy to stay if somebody else has a question or.
Martha asked, is a site guardian inherently of the spirit? I believe it is, isn't it?
Martha, unmute, Martha, please.
You want me to do you, hun? Here, I gotcha. Gotcha. Oh, it wouldn't let me. Oh, there it goes. Okay,
got
there
it.
it goes. Yes.
Do you
reason-
mean, is it always been spirit, or has it maybe been alive?
The reason why I ask those kind of questions, I've had my own struggles with offensive energies, and so I'm always careful about what I'm calling in, and I want the wording to support my intent of
Right.
working with the light.
Right.
If your intention is always for your benefit and always to be of love and light, nothing should come through that is not of love and light.
Okay.
We've just had a really hard time. They just keep coming back, don't they, Martha?
Yeah, they do.
Are they still bothering you at this point? Then maybe let me go back. I probably can't do it right now, but let me go back through your notes and do what Debbie showed us here and see if I can just transmute them away. Because
Okay.
some of this I did not have, and that's absolutely beautiful. It's amazing.
Martha, hold a very solid intention that your space is out here, you know, at arm's length. Start at arm's length. This is my space. if you are not here for my benefit, stay the hell out of my space. And excuse me, I swear if that offends you.
Oh, I do with them.
but-
I yell at them. Get
But,
out.
but I don't yell at them.
Oh, you
that
don't
is-
yell at them.
Place.
Oh,
That is the spirit medic's place.
ah,
That
okay,
is
okay.
God's place. Whatever your belief, that's not my place. I am not going to get into a battle of wits and wills with anybody in the spirit world. Because
I have
they
a
can
few
go
times.
Okay?
I have a few times. Yeah, they when
But
they're
you can say, this is my space, and if you are not here for me, for my benefit,
Be
you
gone.
can't be here.
right.
And you ask your angels, whatever, to escort them away from you. And then you keep extending that boundary. You start with it close to you, and
Okay.
then you say, okay, the boundary is now 6 feet away, and now it's
Okay.
20 feet away, and now it's, X feet away. And you keep expanding that boundary, and you ask that it go with you wherever you go.
Mhm.
Appreciate it.
I don't get into it with the spirit realm because some people can see them. Only every once in a while do I see them.
Phew, they're not fun to look at
I
sometimes.
feel them, but
Yeah.
I don't always feel them either. But I can sure say, if you're not here for my benefit, somebody needs to get them out of here,
Right.
and you need to get them out of here right now.
Right.
It's kind of like calling the police. Somebody's trying to break into my house. I need somebody, and I need somebody now, and I need somebody to come take care of it. I'm not going to try to get rid of an invader if they're not in my house.
Yeah.
If somebody who is in my house, then you have to defend yourself. But before that, I don't have to get into it with somebody who's trying to get into my house. I
Yeah.
can sit in my little corner in my bedroom, hide under my bed, and call the cops and say, you need to come take care of this. And that's what I do with the spirit realm. I ask somebody else to come take care of it because they are far better able to deal with it than I ever will be, because I don't see it. Does that
Oh.
make sense?
Appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you, Debbie.
You are most
They're not
welcome.
really a lot of fun to see, actually. Some of them are frightening to look at and to have come through you. They are, and they do drain you instantly if they come into you. And at first, when I first started doing, I didn't know enough, and I was learning from a lady in Oregon, and she goes, "You got to yell at them, you got to argue with them," and it's like, she goes, "If they're 10th dimensional, 15th dimensional, it's like, do I have to know the dimensions? Why do I need to know the dimensional of these things?" But now I don't worry about the dimensions. I just go take care of them.
And I don't worry about any of it,
Yeah, there's no reason to.
And if they have been in the space longer than you have, you're the invader.
Right,
They're not.
right.
And so yelling at them to get out of your space when it's their space.
Airspace.
And so that's, again, where the spirit medics come in, because the medics understand why they haven't been able to cross over.
Right.
And they can, they can heal those wounds, so
Right.
to speak. I can't.
With I had a place that mom got a hold of me. They watched over a land, a property with horses and all kinds of animals at the end of the Appalachian Tears, and they were being bothered all the time. And what actually was there was Indians,
Mm-hmm.
and they were very thankful. They were so blessed to be able to go into the spirit realm. They were just so
Mhm.
thankful to be able to be
Yeah.
left in peace. It
And
was
sometimes they want to stay and they want to take care of it,
Mhm.
but people don't realize that they
Right.
want to help. They think that all spirits are there, are
To do harm.
malevolent, and that's not true.
no, it's not
Some of them would be very, very good caretakers if they weren't confused.
right.
And I have, every once in a while, my mom walks through. I'll see a
Aw.
blue shirt. She wore blue denim shirts all the time. And one morning a couple of years ago, I saw the blue walk by, and I'm like, oh, my daughter must be up. Well, she was up, but she had on a bright red shirt. I'm like, well, Oh, Mom was here. Okay, cool. So, sometimes people just, they come and go, and as long as as long as I have set the intention for it to always be for my highest and best, or for the highest and best of anybody that's within my home, that's, then nobody else can get through anyway.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Debbie. You are just a world of information. Thank you so
Anybody else have
kindly.
any questions?
Then if we do not, may we bow our heads, please, and just give praise? Thank you. Heavenly Father, we thank you so very much for being present with us and for having Debbie come on and speak with us so eloquently. And we bless you for everyone that is here tonight. And we ask that you watch over and bless each one of us as we do your work. In your holy name, amen. And thank you. Thank you, thank
Oh,
you.
you are most welcome. You are
And
most welcome. And if anybody